So roughly across this base here, 9 feet, 12 to 15 feet if we take in those rocks, right? That's part of it. And then in terms of death wall, it's following the slope. So it's not like a notch, and then the notch is filled with rocks. Personally, I mean, you got ground squirrels, chipmunks, whatever. That would do something. Okay, look at this. That's that erosion in there. I didn't know it was gonna be this close to the highway. No, I'm just talking now. So my problem is that the rains of 1862 would have taken this and at least doubled it, because when you're down at the Mountain Meadows site, it's like 20 feet deep, and I don't remember how wide it is, but we're going to say 60 feet deep, where then in 1857 it was about 4 feet deep and 20 or so wide. So this area would have suffered the same erosion. This would have been, my understanding, this is the roadbed, right? This was part of the roadbed. It became part of the erosion pattern. It would have been up in this area like this, right? It's been used by Spaniards, but it's still shallow. If 1862 comes along, that means all of this was washed out and all of this stayed and wasn't altered. So for me, this had to be after 1862, after all of this has been eroded out, right? It was here, now it's here. I don't see how you can put that pile of rock up here and it just goes like this and now conforms to the existing drainage bed. No question it's intentional. I never heard anything about any bones being found here. With the kind of erosion that would occur over 150 years, you'd think you'd see something, and these rocks would have to move a little bit in the 1862 event. And, you know, aside from that rock right up there, which may or may not be related, it's a pretty stable. I think this was built for some kind of erosion control. And I think the real massacre site is right there with that here. And the second big scrub, right? The nice round one. Right there. And that's why the women's memorial site's a little further north. You know, now, the interesting geometry is that when you make the measurements from the site, using the Prince map, using the measurements Carlson gives you, you can draw the lines and get them to conform to this spot as well as to that spot. And then the men's were killed back at where the white turnout is. I'll show you again. And it's where we parked. And that's where I believe it was. That's 3/8 of a mile south. And now you swing this line off this way and you can make it conform to this other rock cairn over there, which I'm not going to. So that is an issue to be resolved. But I think the erosion itself, the erosion issue from the rains, has to be post-57. This has to be. Something else that bothered me is, supposedly from what I've read, the people here, and it's been the same family for over 100 years, don't know anything. Well, if you've forgotten something, it's because it wasn't relevant in the first place. So I'm not going to get into that whole issue of the people that have ranched here and who misled Josiah Gibbs. I'll talk about that on a separate thing. But so the Josiah Gibbs map is full of disinformation that he was fed. The places is kind of over, if you're Dan Still Hill, looking down over that stuff. It's part of this continuous disinformation. So if you want to get cynical, you could say, well, same thing with the rock cairn behind me. But as cynical as I can get, I'm not buying that this rock cairn is full of, this would be women under here, and kids. Alright, so it's kind of windy. Got a stake here and a stake over there with the rock cairn just intermediate between us. There you can see some of it. My drone isn't syncing up. I just bought the thing. I'm probably doing something wrong, so there's no video of that. See those trees that are just starting to bloom out? That's called service. They make service berries. So, deer, deer, deer. Grasshoppers. Coyotes, yeah. Here's part of a skull. A little Bambi skull. So if you're looking, you go past that yellow sign about, well, I don't know, 150 feet, and then you can come in right across here. There. See that wooden stake? You know what you're looking for. Always interested in people's opinions. So again, this area, from there down to the creek, which we can't see, it's another 2 or 3 feet. It's an honest 15 feet. Look at this. See, this is all eroded. This came out this way and down, right? But when this came out, this is where it, and then it came down about 4 feet. It comes across 15, 20 feet. Less than what we saw up the road. That was a good 8 feet deep, at least 6. That's how much erosion occurred in the single rain event. It completely altered all this stuff. Yeah, so what was happening? This stuff was eroding away, and remains were being exposed. So this is the turnout right off the side of the highway. You can see a little sign up there that takes you to the men's site, which I think is too far south. And so it's a little bridge. This is, again, much too wide and too deep. See, this is going from, there, all the, over to here, if you will. So it's a good 40 feet wide now. If we take the bottom here and go up this side to about here, we have to be higher. See, the steepness would be a little steeper. So it'd be coming up like where these branches are in here. We'd come up about maybe 5 feet from the center line up, say where this, right where my finger is in those branches, and that would be maybe 5 feet down to the bottom. It was, roughly 20 feet wide. Well, it doesn't look like that now, so you can imagine what happened up the road there. So there's enough information in Josiah Gibbs to see if trees like this were here in 1909. Right, this is where the bathroom is now, or on this flat spot up here. There's your entrance. Well, it wasn't as eroded in 1909, but there's been more erosion since then. But the great bulk of this all happened in one event. I'll show it to you. I've got the rainfall, all the rainfall totals for Utah from 1850 until 1933. So we'll look at that and get that date right. July 17th, 63. 16 to 20 feet high.